So I started thinking through, and I realized that I had to the response on virtues. And I've been working formally, which means there were some informal jobs that I did that I normally don't put on my CV. But formally, I've been working since 1995. So how many years? 28 years, right? But before then, I worked. I've cleaned bowls before and washed dishes. I've been a fuel attendant before in London. I'll be sitting there, you know, I've cut onions in a restaurant. I'll be at the back there cutting onions, and I'm sure maybe some of you, your parents will be sitting down enjoying the food. And to take care of myself in school, right? So that's also part of work. And I think I learned a few things that helped me. But what I want to share with you today, I'll split it into two. I think the first part will benefit everybody who is here. But the second part will be for those who are really at the workplace and what kind of opportunities that we see now and what you should take advantage of. So the first part, I want to talk about how to build your career or profession on godly principles and ethical standards. On godly principles and ethical standards. How do you build your career or your profession? You're a young person, you started working, and I can tell you the workplace is one of the most brutal places you can think of. Those working can give you examples. People smile with you. In fact, sometimes you have to take the attitude that I don't have any friends at work. I only have colleagues. And it works, eh? Because if you begin to see people as friends, you'll be disappointed. So you have work colleagues you work with, and that's how brutal the workplace is. Then the second part, I want to touch on the opportunities out there in the new normal. When I say new normal, you know what I mean, right? The world has changed completely. Completely, it's changed. The world I grew up in as a young person is different from the world you are living in now. Completely different. They share no resemblance at all. Today you can sit at home and get a car to come and pick you out. That's Uber. That's what technology is doing. That's what they call the fourth industrial revolution. Some of us read about it and didn't think that we would live to witness it. I was in university getting to my final year when mobile phone came out for the first time in Ghana. So you can imagine growing up until university, I'd never seen a mobile phone. And I'd never seen a telephone in my house, right? If you want to call someone abroad, you have to go to, who knows Accra North Post Office? Circle. There's a post office there, Ghana Telecom. And they had a place where you have to go and book a time. So you have to book it like 3 days, 4 days before. That maybe Saturday, 6 p.m., I'm coming to receive a call from someone abroad. Then you wait till Saturday, 6 p.m., and you go to Accra North and go and receive the call, and you go away. That's the world we grew up in. Now, you're sleeping on your bed, and you can engage the whole world. That's a completely new world. And the way we grew up and how we took advantage of opportunities is very different from how you should do it. And I think it's important that you open your minds to the world around you and start taking advantage of opportunities. So we will go into that second part too. But the first part, I want to draw a few things to your attention as a young person working. whether you started work, you're already working, whether you've been working for 10 years, 15 years, I think this will be useful for you. You should always consider your workplace as your ministry. You're a Christian, you're a young person. Whatever job you've been given, it's a ministry, it's a service to God. It is service to God. Every job, anything you are doing, see it as a ministry, part of your service to God. If you miss this mentality, you have missed the mark. Then you should find another means other than being a Christian to make an impact at the workplace. Because I can tell you, as I started, I said it mildly, but it is very serious. At the workplaces, there are so many forces at stake, so many forces. You draw your force and your protection and your favor from God. Others draw it from different places. Different places. They smile with you, but you have no idea where their source of inspiration and their source of strength is coming from. Occultism is awash in our schools, and it is transferred to our workplaces. Freemasonry is taking hold in all our workplaces. All the young men are now moving to Freemasonry because they've been convinced that you can still be a Christian and be a Freemason. And they've accepted that. And so they are all marching in droves. And it has become a source of power where you think you can make an influence. If I'm a Freemason, I belong to an occult group, and I'm at the workplace, we see ourselves as brothers. And through that, we help each other to make an impact, right? When I was in the university, I belonged to the Commonwealth Force. So we are Vandals. And we call ourselves V-mates, right? And wherever we meet, we are V-mates. Whether I'm an ancient V-mate or you're a modern V-mate, I meet you at the workplace and I get to know you're a Vandal. I have a special interest in you. So assuming I'm the head of the institution and you're a young officer and you meet me in the corridor and you call me V-mate, that's it. I'll respond sharp. Then that's it. Since that day, from that day, we have a different relationship, right? And that's what transpires in all the other occultism and all the other groups that are existing at the workplaces. And you, as a young Christian, you don't belong to those groups. Your source of strength and your source of power is in the house of the Lord as a Christian. And so if you do not see your work as a ministry, you've lost the plot. You're starting at a point where you've already failed before you started. And the workplace will be very brutal on you. That's when you sit down and promotions pass you by. Because the guy has met me and said, V-mate, and he said, oh, this year I'm out for promotion. If I'm not a Christian and I'm sold into V-mate, I'm looking out for him. Who is interceding for you? Most likely your head or your supervisor is not a Christian. Who is interceding for you? The Bible says that the heart of the king is what? In the hands of the Lord. So if you see your work as a ministry, whether the king is a Christian or not, his heart is in the hands of the Lord, and God is ordering his heart to suit you, right? And where I sit, I've seen where God has ordered the heart of my decision-making to suit certain people. And those people don't know. There is a time that we were recruiting one person, and I sent the head of HR a message and said, oh, call Dr. Taki and tell him that currently we found vacancy, so his appointment has been confirmed. I don't know how she heard the name. She heard a different name from Taki, even from what I've typed, and called somebody else and gave that person an appointment letter. Then later on, we found out that it's not the person we wanted to appoint. But we cannot go and cancel the original appointment letter. So we have to bring Taki on board in addition to that person. Do you think this is by chance? Do you take this as by chance? Exactly. If you know the prayers that person has made, and the life he or she has led for God, and the waiting on God to intercede, and how God ordered the heart of the king to his or her favor. That's what God does for you when you're a child of God. When you see your workplace as your ministry. And you see, your biggest objective at the workplace, if you're a child of God, a young person, is to make an impact, make a difference. See, when you go to every workplace, I can tell you there are 3 groups of people there. Those who are frustrated and angry with the system. So all they do is to just ride along and get their salary. And there are those who are actually working. And there is a special group of people who don't work, they are not frustrated, but they create gossip to make the work environment interesting. You have to be careful which group you join. If you join the first group, you are gone. If you join the last group, you are gone. You should be focused and join the group of people that are working, because if you're a young person and you go there, your objective is to make an impact and make a difference. That's what you're supposed to do. And the first point of making an impact or making a difference at your workplace is through what? Your life. Right? It's through your life. You can never make any impact any other place other than through your life. You may be the most intelligent person in the world, transferred to a particular workplace, or even created your own job. But if your life is not making an impact, that job will not prosper. If you have your own business and your life is not making an impact as a young child of God, that business will not prosper. If you are in an establishment and you are not making your life impact, you will not prosper in that establishment. In the short run, things may be looking okay, but you turn back 10 years' time and you realize that you haven't grown. You are stuck at a particular level. So your life should be what makes the impact. And when it comes to your life, as a young Christian, I told you that other people have come to workplaces or started their business with different forces. Different forces. We don't work with a force. We have Christ. And we say that he that is in us is greater than he that is out there. But others are coming with different forces. Things that are behind them. Things that they consult. And they are the workplaces. They are people you go out for lunch with. And the students, they are your classmates. You may be young, but they are your classmates. You eat with them, you smile with them, you dance with them, you sleep in the same room with them, but the force behind them is different from what you have in you, which is Christ. And so what you have in you through your life is the only weapon you have. And as a young person at the workplace, the only weapon you have, which I call your biggest currency, which is your biggest ability to buy anything, the only weapon you have is your credibility. Your credibility. And I'm speaking, everything I've said so far is from experience. Some of them I failed, and I've learned lessons. Some of them I was able to adhere to, and they have helped me. And I'm sharing this experience with you. The biggest weapon as a young Christian at the workplace is your credibility. Credibility. If you lose that, you have nothing else. Credibility. And one thing our workplaces lack, whether you are a businessman, whether you are a young professional at work, if you survey around you, the biggest thing we lack is credibility at the workplace. That is what is killing our countries. That is what is killing our world. Lack of credibility. You sit with someone today and have a discussion with the person. 2 days' time, you go out there and you hear the person narrating the discussion you had, and you'll be shocked. And you ask yourself, is this person I spoke with? You will be shocked. That's the worst thing we lack is credibility. And if you want to make an impact and you want to make a difference as a young person at the workplace or in school, your biggest currency is your credibility. And I'll tell you down the line, it is not cheap. It is expensive. That's why people cannot keep it. Credibility is very expensive. I'll touch on it later on. Extremely expensive. And I'll be sharing my experience. Very, very expensive. But nothing is more expensive than the favor of God. So if credibility is expensive, and you look at the favor of God, then credibility is not that expensive. I would rather choose the favor of God than to lose my credibility. So as a Christian, you build your credibility through your godly values, right? Which shapes your principles, right? It shapes your principles and helps us to maintain the highest ethical standards. Everything I'm saying here, I'm drawing from experience. From where I sit, I supervise over 2,500 staff. I sit to supervise the entire economy. So I work with almost everyone in the country. And I'm telling you that the biggest weapon we have as young Christians is our credibility. And that is what we all lack at the workplaces. We lack it. And that's the source of our problems. And it saddens me because the workplaces is filled with Christians. So why is that currency missing? Why is it missing? And that's why today's discussion is very important. Even if I had 5 young people in this room and they walk away and don't take any message at all, but they go away with a renewed mind to say that from tomorrow going, Monday, no matter the cost, I will maintain my credibility in my family life, with my friends, and at my workplace. That will make a huge difference. Because what we need in this country is just a few good men and women with credibility. That's all we need. And one thing you should also consider is that once you have all that, no role or position is too small. No role or position is too small. Whichever role you find yourself in, you can make an impact and you can make a difference. Sometimes people fish out for high profile, high visibility, recognition, right? I'll tell you, I worked at the IMF, and in the IMF, every 3 years, if you don't move around, you become an extinct. Meaning, after 3 years, if you haven't moved to a different assignment, they will be watching you. 5 years' time, they will tell you to move. And that place, they don't transfer, so you have to go and interview. You have to market yourself, even in the same institution. So if you are in, let's say, finance and you want to move to marketing. It's not automatic. You have to go and interview at that place. So it's a market, right? And so after 5 years, if you haven't moved, then the HR comes after you. You know what happens then? You are fired. you leave the institution. So I was 3 years in my role. I was on assignment in Rwanda. I helped the Rwanda government to put their first program together. Whilst I was on assignment, I had a call that there was an advert in another department, and so I wanted to apply. So I applied. Then they shortlisted 3 of us, and there were 3 different assignments. You see, this is where the favor of God comes in, right? So I wasn't in my workplace was in Washington, D.C., right? But I had traveled from Washington, D.C. to Rwanda, working on the field. My other 2 short colleagues were in D.C., so they were able to use their influence, and they went to handpick the choicest assignment, the most visible, choicest, nicest one, and they left the one that nobody wanted. And so here comes the guy from Rwanda. I went to the office, and they called me and said, this is the only one left. So you either take it or you leave it. Then I looked back and I said, if I don't take it, 3 years has passed, then the clock is ticking. And I looked at that assignment. For confidentiality reasons, I won't mention the name of the country assignment they gave me, but you wouldn't want to get it. So I took it. And it became the best assignment in the whole institution after 2 years. The best. And through that assignment, within 5 years of working at that place, I got promoted to a mission chief because of that assignment. The other guys, as I speak, they spent almost 15 years on their grade and they haven't moved. They are still there, which means after 20 years, they will be shown the exit. I had the luxury to resign and leave. But that assignment, which was not the most visible, that nobody wanted, if you're a child of God, you can make an impact and an influence anywhere, everywhere, anywhere. But God was ordering my steps because that assignment prepared me for my job here. Everything I went through on that assignment has become relevant here in Ghana. So you see how God works. Wherever you find yourself, you can make an impact. Wherever you find yourself. And that should be your standard. Of course, if the big ones become available, go for it. We want children of God to possess the most important places. So I'm not saying don't go for it. You see, for me, I didn't have any option, right? And so when that happens to you, see yourself as God is ordering your steps. If you're a child of God and you are a Christian at the workplace, your steps are constantly ordered by God. And I made the most out of it. So I'll come to another point. Not because God is ordering my steps, I went there and went to fold my arms, right? I used to stay in the office till 12 midnight. I was in the office on Saturdays, I was in the office on Sundays. So it's about excellence, pursuing excellence, and I'll touch on that. So that's the next point I wanted to make, so I've already mentioned it. So if you want to make an impact wherever you find yourself, you have to pursue excellence. Pursue excellence. Pursue excellence as a young Christian. Do you remember the advice Paul gave to Timothy? Is it in 2 Timothy or 1 Timothy? When he told him to what? Study himself what? Approved. It's first, right? Second. And what did he say after that? After he said he should study himself to be approved, he says, so that the older people do not what? We are doing a Bible quiz here. Paraphrase it. So that they do not look down upon your youth, right? We are speaking at the youth places, right? Sometimes you sit at places and they will say that, oh, this position, this lady coming or this gentleman, he's too young. He cannot perform in that role. There's nothing like that. You should study yourself, pursue excellence. Be the go-to person. Be the person that nobody can bypass at the workplace on the assignment that you've been given. Pursue excellence if you want to make an impact. Pursue excellence if you want to make a difference. You cannot be a child of God and do not pursue excellence. 2 Timothy 2:15 said that, do your best to present yourself to God as one approved. How do you get approved? A worker who does not need to be ashamed and who correctly what? Correctly handles what? The word of truth. Timothy was in his ministry, right? So his assignment is what? As a minister, teaching the word. So handling the word of truth. You are not in Timothy's ministry, but you are in a different ministry. What was Paul telling Timothy here? He said what? Correctly. Doing something correctly is what? Excellence. Correctly handle the word is what Paul told Timothy. And I'm standing here telling you that correctly handle your job. Pursue excellence. Because if you pursue excellence, he said that what? If you go to 16, what does he say? I think that's where... So I think it's not here. But then, 24. 1 Timothy 4:12, okay. You see, after he's admonished him on 2 Timothy 2:15 to pursue excellence and correctly handling the word of truth, then he went to advise him about the fact that they do not look down upon his youth. So this is the message for you as youth. Don't let anybody look down upon you at the workplace. You are not too young to make an impact. There's nothing like you are not of age. You are not too young at all. And where is the key? The key is what? Correctly handling the word of truth. The key is what? Pursuing what? Excellence. If you pursue excellence, you can stand before kings and deliver. You can stand before dignitaries and deliver. You can go to meetings where you meet people who are so intimidating, but the moment you enter the room, they are all quiet and they listen to you. And they won't listen to you because you are handsome or you are beautiful. They won't listen to you because you are a Christian. They will listen to you first because of what? What is coming out of you. And then being a Christian is a bonus. Now let me ask you a question. Assuming, God forbid, but you find yourself in a car accident and a serious emergency on the floor, everybody is there. Will you ask for a Christian nurse, a Christian doctor, or you ask for the best nurse or the best doctor? Which one will you ask for? The best. Why are you not asking for a Christian nurse? Are you going to shout when you're on the floor that, please, can you find me a nurse who is a Christian to come and take care of me? Is that what you are going to ask for? What are you going to ask for? We all want to go to the best schools, even if the school is being run by a Muslim, isn't it? You want the best hospitals. You want the best doctor, even if the doctor is a Muslim, isn't it? Or the doctor doesn't even go to church. You don't want to go to any other doctor. So what if the best doctor and the best nurse also happens to be a Christian? You see an opportunity for you to make an impact. You see an opportunity for you to make a difference. I did not get to my position because I'm a Christian. Of course, my steps were ordered by God. So God ordered me there and kept me there as a Christian. But those who are appointing, they looked at your CV, the things you've done. And as a Christian, if you pursue excellence, then the excellence opens the door for you. And it's that excellence that will let a Christian possess that position. So you see, the favor of God will take you to a place. But what keeps you there is your character. If the favor of God lands you a job, if your favor of God lands you a husband, if a favor of God lands you a wife, to maintain that marriage, to maintain that job, to excel in that job, is your character. And the Bible has taught us how to build that character. Everything is in the Bible. It has taught us. So excellence must be pursued at all times. Invest yourself. Please, invest yourself in your job. Invest. That's why I started by saying that see your job as what? Your ministry. If you see your job as your ministry, yes, you spend time in the church, in other ministries, but you also have a ministry, which is your work. And if you pursue it as a child of God and pursue excellence, you bring glory to God. Because people will begin to point at you and say that lady who is there doing all these wonderful things, she is also a Christian. Isn't that glory to God? She is a Christian. But that lady got there because even though she is a Christian, she pursued excellence. And the Bible just told us, and the admonition from Paul to Timothy. Timothy had the elders and the grandmother lay their hands on him. So he could have decided to say that I have the anointing. So everything is okay. But Paul was telling him to what? Pursue excellence. Pursue excellence. We are young Christians. Let's learn to pursue excellence. Please. Where I sit, that is the biggest problem. Pursuing excellence. Listen, if you pursue excellence and you're a child of God, you don't need to lobby anybody to open doors for you. You don't. When we sit at our round table and we are making decisions on promotions or decisions on who gets what, you know there are some people who will just say that, oh, this gentleman is beyond, he's excellent in everything he does. We don't even check whether the person is a Christian or not. But what makes me so happy is that there are some people I sat around table and we discussed them, and I know they are Christians. And I'm so excited. And not just Christians, I even know they are in this church. And I sit there and I don't even have to intervene. In fact, sometimes I'm quiet and my other colleagues are the ones who say that, oh, as for this gentleman, as for this lady, she's the best. Let's give her this opportunity. You see what the favor of God is doing. But the favor of God is using that excellence from that lady to open doors and give that person opportunities to make an impact. But if that person who is in this church has not pursued excellence, and then he calls me on the side and says, oh, elder, can you help me to make sure that I get this position? Meanwhile, there's another guy there who has done all the work. So if, elder, I'm standing here telling you that my biggest currency is credibility, and I look at my fellow colleague at church and I give that opportunity to him or her at the expense of that lady, am I leaving what I said? My credibility alone will tell me that I cannot do that. And why? Because that gentleman who is in the church with me has not pursued excellence. And I'm sorry, but the young people, they think that networking can do everything. In fact, someone will come and see you that I want a job. And they will put pressure on you, give them a job. And then when they get to the job place, the place they've positioned him or her, they will come and see you again and say that, oh, can you move me from this place to that place? And then when you move that person from that place to that place, then at the end of the day, you say that, oh, please, can you help me to get a promotion? So what are you doing for yourself? So everything, someone should help you to get it. You are all laughing. Have you seen it before? So you cannot do anything for yourself. This is not I'm sharing examples, right? And they are Christians. You can't do anything for yourself. So at every stage in your life, you want to depend on somebody to help you. Please, let's pursue excellence. Spend time, invest time in yourself. Sometimes the opportunity will not come to you. You look for it, right? I'll share an example. My first 5 years at my workplace is a place where people travel a lot for foreign training programs. And that gives you, one, you acquire modern skills, but two, you also get exposure. And the two together helps you to become the best. For the first 5 years, everybody around me had gone and I wasn't going. And I can tell you for 13 years, I had one. And some of them had gone so many times that they cannot count. And the one, I'm not downplaying it, but it was to Lagos. I took it. And you know, it came and it was timed 2 weeks after, or a week after my wedding. I got married in 1998 on the 10th of January. On the 18th of January, I had to leave to go to Nigeria. And listen, I've been there for a long time, and this is the only opportunity for me to get that exposure. So I think my wife understood that I had to leave. So there was no honeymoon. So I went. I didn't complain. Meanwhile, my other colleagues have gone all over. Then one day, one of them went to IMF Washington for an 8-week program to do something called financial programming. And that financial programming is the foundation of our work. If you don't have it, you cannot operate in that. I was in research, so that is the policy department. And we run the programs. And to have that exposure for 8 weeks prepares you. And I'm growing at the workplace, and I haven't had that training. And most of them have gone 2 times, 3 times. Mind you, I never went to complain. But I was not discouraged. Was it painful? Yes, it was very painful. You look around and you ask yourself, what is wrong with me? How come everybody else is going and I'm not going? So I'm not saying it as if it's easy. It was painful at that time. Now I can say it and laugh. But at that time it was painful. Sometimes you become demoralized. But it's what you do with it that matters. So a very good friend of mine went 8 weeks and came. And I said, oh, can you share your materials with me? I'm talking about pursuing excellence, right? So they had CDs, right? Which had all the papers and the templates and everything in there, and the printed material. So he gave them to me. Then I downloaded the CDs on my computer. And then I quickly realized that I never attended a computer. I did computing at university. So I never attended Excel, no, but I learned it on my own. I did economics, mathematics, and statistics and computing. So I learned it on my own. Then when I opened the Excel files, I realized I could trace the formulas in the Excel file. Then I said, okay, hallelujah. So I started spending time. Then I'll sit down, and if you open Excel, you can trace dependence and precedence. How many of you know Excel here? I'm an old man, but I still remember Excel. So I went in and said, okay, if you want to arrive at current account deficit, let me trace the dependence. So when you put a cursor on it, it will trace and it will tell you have to pick this number, you have to pick that. So then I started understanding the framework. So I was building my own framework. When I finished, I sat down and wrote my own Excel code to develop the same framework for Ghana. I didn't go to Washington. The person who went brought his CDs to me. Once I developed it and I did a presentation at the department, they said, okay, then let's migrate to that framework. When we migrate to that framework, who do you think is going to be in charge of that framework? How do you make an impact at your workplace? So that automatically made me the one in charge of that framework. And that has been my trajectory from that day till today. Did it come on a silver platter? Did I get the opportunity? I created it. As a child of God, you pursue excellence. Was it expensive? It was very expensive. You can only imagine how many nights I sat on my own trying to understand. And when I wanted to understand, my idea was not to have this opportunity. No, I wanted to improve myself. You know, I told myself that even though I did not get that opportunity, I want to be like my colleagues who've had that opportunity. Right? So, let me learn from them. You see, the heart, I went at it. It was not a heart of envy or jealousy. It's a heart to better myself. And you know what? When I was able to do that, then the time came in for me to leave the bank and go to IMF. Do you know the working template at IMF? The same thing. So I went to the IMF in Washington without a learning curve, because I've paid my price already. So then you can imagine why after 5 years, I'll move up. Because new people will have to spend time to learn. What I'm supposed to learn, I've done that already. Did I even know that I wanted to go to IMF at the time I was doing that? Pursue excellence. Wherever you find yourself, whether there is a small place or a big place, pursue excellence. In fact, that is the only message I have for you today. Pursue excellence. Please, pursue excellence. There is no shortcut. It is painful, it is drudgery, it is demoralizing sometimes. Sometimes they won't recognize it, and I take some of the blame. Sometimes we are too busy to even recognize the young ones, but please pursue it. Wherever you are working may not be the only place God is expecting you to work. When I was pursuing this excellence, I didn't know I was going to get an opportunity somewhere else. But I was pursuing the excellence to improve myself, to do better for myself. I went to start work in 1995. I pursued excellence. I started work with my master's. I pursued excellence and did a PhD, because I'm not saying PhD is important, but the field I had chosen, it was important for me. So I did it. That's why I tell you that I've done all kinds of work, because I had to wash bowls and do everything to be able to pay to finish. I recall I was in an econometrics class, in my PhD class, and I was dozing, because I had come from work at 5:30 a.m., and I was sitting in the class at 7:30 a.m., and I hadn't slept. Then a white guy sitting by me asked me, "Why are you sleeping in class?" I said, I came from work. He said, "Why should you go to school and work at the same time?" I didn't say anything. All I said in my head, you don't know what you are talking about. But I was pursuing excellence, right? And that excellence pays off. And it pays off even better when you're a child of God. Because I'm stressing on this because children of God need to think and pursue excellence. We cannot say that we are children of God so things will happen to us on silver platter. Prepare yourself for the opportunity. Prepare yourself. You may not know where it's going to come from, but prepare. Pursue excellence. So let me share a few things I have observed at my workplace, apart from credibility and pursuing excellence. The first one is pursuing excellence, but I call it be good at what you have been trained to do. Be good at it. So don't begin to start spreading yourself to other areas when the one that you've been assigned to do, you are not even excellent at it. So be good at what you've been trained to do, and then start broadening yourself to add on other things. But before you do that, make sure you are good at what you've been trained to do. Spend time on it, be good at it, excel in it, become the go-to person. When I say that, do you understand? When people think about how to interpret financial accounts, let it be that you are the one they will call. And you know what makes it even better? The one they will call is also a Christian. You see how I put it? Your boss will not ask, can you get me a Christian to come and interpret financial accounts for me? You think so? They will call the best person to come. And the best person, if that best person is a Christian, do you see that? Because for you to make an impact and have an influence, you must get the opportunity first. When you want to possess, we must have the opportunity first. So you have to strategically position yourself to get the opportunity and then make an impact. Then let your love for God also impact others at your workplace, in school, in your businesses, at the marketplace. Show love. When people are doing other things that does not, because remember, as a young Christian, you exhibit the character of God. And people watch you. And people interpret every single step of yours. People read me as their Bible at the workplace. People say all kinds of things. But people also see the character of God reflect in my life. And that testimony alone impacts so many other people and opens door for you. Don't be like the others. Let your love for others show. I've said this so mildly, but it's very important. Very, very important. Then I come to one of the best things I like at the workplace, being honest. We don't have it at all. People don't like owning up to things. Being honest is the rarest commodity that we have in our workplaces. Even in